Hi, everyone. This is Miranda with the Valuable Voices podcast. I'm excited for you guys to hear from Claire O'Sullivan today. Claire, thanks for being on today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to just kind of hear your story. I know you've got some books and just hear more about, what you're writing about. So yeah, let's dive right in. Can you
All
just kind
right.
of share a little bit about like growing up and, did you always want to be a writer? What made you decide to write? That kind of thing.
Oh, let's see. I would say that, well, I grew up back east in Minnesota. Minnesota, yeah, sure, you betcha. And we had great teachers, just awesome. And one of them was a literature teacher, and she had us write. That was one of our big assignments. So I wrote a small short story, kind of like flash fiction. And she took two people out of the entire class and made us do something like she made me read my little flash fiction. All of the girls cried.
Aw,
I loved it. Um, I didn't mean to
wow.
write a tragedy because I'm not, I like happily ever afters, but it was kind of fun to watch all the girls cry.
Wow, that's
And
impressive.
she took me aside and she said, "You need to be a writer." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I did start writing, and shortly after that, but I ended up, you know how life interferes. That happened. So I ended up in a lot of textbooks, and I did a lot of reading, fiction reading as well. But as I got older and went on to college, everything was a textbook. Everything. I don't think I wrote. I used to read everything fiction, and then it was everything textbook. And I was a nurse practitioner, and I was a nurse for 38 years, and then a nurse practitioner for about 14 years. And then I
Okay.
retired. I retired and I went, I can write.
Yeah. Wow. So you didn't write at all during that time period?
No, there was just no way. I couldn't figure out how to not read a textbook.
Okay.
I
Wow.
was constantly reading textbooks, and I remember my son saying, "Is that all you're going to do?" And I'm going, "What do you mean?" So yeah, that's pretty much all I did. And then I read a lot of fiction before I even started writing. So that was 2005-ish that I started reading a lot of fiction, and I just kept reading until around 2012, and I just started writing.
Okay.
Didn't know what I was doing, had no idea.
I love it. Did you like to read too? I know we were talking before we got on, you like to read fiction. Did you read a lot too, as well as write?
Yes, I do. I have 148 books on my Kindle that are waiting to be read,
Wow.
which is a little scary, but it's also awesome.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I'm trying to work my way through. I had something like 120, and I said I'm not going to buy anymore.
Yeah.
Well, so I'd get through a couple of two or three books, and all of a sudden I'm like, I need to buy another. I need to buy that book.
Yes. Now tell me about your books that you've written.
I've written the first one. My debut novel was Romance Under Wraps, and it is a romantic suspense, inspirational, and it is about a girl or a woman who lost her identity in a crash. And I'd like to say, first of all, that most of us had no identity before Christ. None.
Mm-hmm.
We put it in the wrong places. There was
Mm-hmm.
nothing. So we faked our way through life,
Yeah.
trying to be this, trying to be that. Even as a nurse, that was my identity. And it wasn't
Yes.
before Christ. I've been, a born again Christian for 46 years.
Okay.
So it's not like I didn't know my identity in Christ, but sometimes you get caught up, and I
Yeah.
did. I got caught
Yeah.
up in the identity of being a nurse, and that was it. And if I did something wrong, I was total failure, you know. And now it's completely different. And for Romance Under Wraps, this is a woman who was in a coma. And when she came out, she had no idea who she was. And the only way she could deal with life was through an ex-partner who talked her into going back into identity theft. So that's
Okay.
what she did. And she did some outrageous things as an identity thief. And then she saw a
Mhm.
murder occur. She didn't see the murder occur, but she knew it happened. And she said, "This is corrupt and I'm not going there. I'm going to find out what happened." And then she meets up with a Christian detective, and he basically changes her life through
Wow.
Christ. And
Cool.
it's got one of those, it looks like it's a horrific ending, but it's a surprise ending.
Oh,
And
cool. I love it.
yeah, I love those kind of endings too, where you don't expect this.
Yes. Yes.
My second novel was a thriller that had been sitting in my chest for since
Sure.
2014. I had to
Okay.
write this. It was, have you spoken to a lot of conspiracy theorists? That would be me.
You-
Well, I back in the day we had regular paper, and I would turn a page and I'd go, I just point to it and I'd go, that looks so interesting, and I'd cut it out. I mean, like two things. And then the next would be the next day or day after, and it was associated. And I'm like, cutting that one out too. And so, Rules of Engagement is about a pandemic, seemingly like out of today, except for it had to do with Ebola.
Okay.
And of course, it involves military intrigue and romance.
Okay.
So the military and intrigue looks pretty darn harsh. But if you think of
Mm-hmm.
spiritual warfare can kill us.
Mm-hmm.
We can literally die from something, and we're dying. But God doesn't look at our circumstances. He looks at how do we deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I find I found writing it, it's a thriller. Truly, it's a thriller. You don't get to rest. You really
Wow.
don't get to rest. It's a psychological, crazy intrigue, thriller, being fooled by uh, other people who have an agenda.
Yeah.
It's like Satan, how he attacks us. Did he really say? Did God really
Yeah.
say that? You know, trying
Wow.
to lying to us. And it's, you don't see that. You don't see the spiritual battle unless you are looking for it.
Sure.
So it can be for anyone.
Yeah. That
And
sounds great.
the one that is coming out in August is titled, I have to remember because I had it titled one thing and it was retitled. So it's Satin and Slippers, a Whiskey River murder mystery.
Okay.
And it is a second in after Romance Under Wraps, my first book. And
Oh,
so
cool.
it involves more people that are in that um, the first novel. So it was not easy to write, but it was fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Taking one
Yeah.
of the guys that was just a jerk and and how he deals with new things. And so
Okay.
it was a lot of fun. So I believe that will be out in September. So I am
Okay.
still looking for ARC readers. So
Oh, very cool.
if someone is interested in having a free book, they can call me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So speaking of that, how do we get in contact with you? You have a website? How do we get in touch?
Probably the easiest way is to go to clairesullivan1.com. You
Okay.
just type that in, and now there's not an apostrophe between
Okay.
O and Sullivan, and they don't accept that. It's like, that's just too weird for us. So it's clairesullivan1.com. And
Got it.
that actually has the Amazon links to rules of engagement and romance under wraps. So it's
Okay.
right there.
Perfect. Awesome. Are you on social media on that too?
I am. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and
Great.
Facebook. Yes. And
Cool.
author Claire One on Twitter and Instagram. And I can't remember my Facebook
Okay.
page,
We'll put the
but
link. I think you shared
I
it.
know author is in there
Yeah.
somewhere.
Perfect. I love
So,
it. Yeah, it's crazy with all the websites we need anymore, but I love it. And you just did a great job explaining. I'm like, I want to get my hands on them and read them. You know, it just sounds like a great read. So what do you see the future? Are you going to keep writing? What are your goals and dreams about, writing
well,
these?
I have, let's see, number 4 is I'm writing that already. And it's
Okay.
called Whiskey River Blues. I have a contract for that with Elk
Wow.
Lake Publishing.
Okay.
And it is about a private investigator and a deputy in Whiskey River.
Okay.
And that one is, I just started that. So I'm pretty much just at chapter 10 and looking at it
Wow.
and thinking, gee, there's already a pothole I see.
Wow.
Oh, I have
How
to
fun.
fix that. So yeah, and one of the things I do is I plot everything out
I was just going to
onto
ask you.
I use onestopforwriters.com,
Okay.
which is amazing. And I also have Pro Writing Aid, which helps me make a lot of statements.
Okay.
I have to change this. But then I take a cork board and I print up little random pictures of the victims or a
Wow.
victim. There's always a murder. I'm trying to think, how am I going to write a rom-com? Doesn't happen. Wait, someday.
Yeah.
The cork board has a timeline. It has I print up all of the paperwork from One Stop for Writers, and I put that onto another cork board, and then I put little red. I'm looking at it right now. Little
Yeah.
red yarn
Okay.
attaching everything. Where does this go? Who's the victim, and
Wow.
how does it fit? And then I'll put in what questions I want the detective to ask, and what questions I want the deputy to ask, and what questions I
Wow.
want the private investigator to ask. And
Very
so,
cool. It's funny, I was never really into crime or murder mysteries before, but lately I have been. I more watch, probably. I read some, but I guess watch. Do you watch, shows and things like that too to get ideas?
yes,
And
yes. My
yeah.
my husband is huge on that, and I do hear it. So I do get to, and every now and then I'll turn and I'll look at the thing, and I'll ask my husband, well, what would you do?
Yeah.
Because he'll
Yeah.
say, no, the cop didn't do this right. And I'm like,
Right.
you know, but he's been
Oh, that's so
watching these
fun.
shows for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
You name
Cool.
a true crime show, and he's probably watched it along with forensics. And I
Oh,
love writing
interesting.
forensics. Forensics goes well into my crime fiction.
Okay.
And I think that's my favorite. That's my
Cool.
absolute favorite. Intrigue is fun, but it requires a lot of
Okay.
research. The research
Okay.
is 2 years,
Wow. Yeah, I
3 years.
can't imagine.
I did a lot of
Wow.
research. And my editor, who's with Elk Lake, she's so awesome because what she does, she used to be a lab rat. She was, in fact, the supervisor lab rat.
Neat.
So she would point out, you're wrong here, you're wrong there, you're wrong there, fix this. So I would look
Okay.
at it and I finally would say something like, how about if I say it's just complex?
Yeah, really.
I said, it's a
Wow. Well,
really
that's
complex.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Well,
it was.
congratulations. Thank you for sharing. I love hearing just your story. And again, I want to get my hands on those books. So keep doing what you're doing. And we'll put all the websites here and how people can find you. So, yeah, thanks for telling your story and jumping on today. I'm excited to hopefully people, drop a note below or reach out to Claire for sure if you want to read her book. And that sounds like an awesome opportunity. So,
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I have a lot
yeah.
of fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for listening and God bless.
God bless you. Bye-bye.